Hey everyone, let's talk about the latest Moonlight 5-star units that we've gotten last week. So to say, it is Notos, the Light Knight who is currently dominating RTA and most of the arena. Today we'll be looking at what he does, what builds you need, how you ideally build best artifact choices. I'll then briefly talk about his performance in various contents of the game. Just a quick mention, I do not play in the RTA preseason, so I sadly cannot show off any games of my own in terms of RTA. I just like to take a break during preseason from RTA because it's always stressing me out, and I just take some time off of Epic 7. So no RTA showcases for Notos, but if you've watched Yiga or Elfmage over the last couple of days, you might have realized that Notos is extremely strong in RTA as well. And then we'll close it up with my final thoughts, where I'll talk about his strengths and weaknesses. And that closes out the video for today. So without further ado, let's dive right into what Notos does. So Light Knight, he is he's the second unit, so to say, after Tamarin, who has a transform gimmick, so to say. You all remember Tamarin, when you press her S3, she transforms and gets 2 new skills that, for the most part, do the same thing as her regular form. They're just better. The same applies to Notos, but he doesn't transform. He instead transforms the battlefield via his S3 God's Might. It grants a passive buff. This is a unique effect, and the wording on this is going to be very important on this unit. So God of Battle, a unique effect indicated by the blue border around the icon. And this doubles all his stats. He gets that buff for 3 turns, and while his buff is active, it changes the battlefield to the Sanctuary of Battle, which removes all heroes' buffs and debuffs for that matter. And it makes everybody immune to buffs and debuffs. So the easiest way to pretty much know what this means is bystander Hwayong for everybody. And his S2, as you can tell, or as you can see, is divided into 2 parts. Notos, the base unit, so to say, and then the God of Battle, which is his passive when he presses S3. So in his regular form, when he's just Notos, he cannot be CR pushed. That means Lady of the Scales does not push him up. Zio cannot push him down the CR bar. None of this works in this while he is in his standard form. Now, once he transforms the battlefield and gets the God of Battle passive, his S2 transforms into an attack. And this attack is incredibly powerful because, remember, all his stats are doubled. And he attacks the enemy, penetrates 50% defense, which is incredibly strong, because this means that Ilanav's passive isn't all that strong against him. And he deals damage proportional to the caster's max health, which translates, I believe, around about 50% of his health is damage, which is still a huge amount. And DS1, during his regular form, he has a 75% chance to decrease defense for 1 turn, and his damage also scales with health. And during his God of Battle, so when the battlefield is changed, he deals damage proportional to his own health and then some, meaning an extra damage proportion part. Think of it as Light Iceria. When she counters you, she deals a little bit of damage, and then there's a pop damage. Same for Notos. He has that pop damage after his S1 hit, and that also hurts very badly because, again, all his stats are doubled. Now, what does that mean for his gearing? So, in terms of build, there's no choice other than going Warfare. Now, sure, you could go speed set and always play Aram or Green Iceria with him. That's just a bad idea. Let's put it that way. You will always use Warfare Set on him. There's no negotiation about this. Warfare Set is fixed. You cannot move around this because, as you can tell, this starts with a full skill cooldown count, meaning 7 turns. You don't want to fight 7 turns with this unit. He has the same stats as Empyrean Illinov, so he's rather slow in terms of base speed. As you can see, I am currently 200 speed, and that is added by 105, so his base speed is 95 speed, which is incredibly slow. And that means you want super high gear score on all your items. And the ideal build, before I start going into set choices for the 2 set pieces, is you want at bare minimum 200 speed. So I'm scratching the bottom barrel in terms of speed, but I do have pretty good stats otherwise. Ideally, you want him to be at around 250 speed. Not more than 250 speed because you'll be sacrificing too many stats, but 250 speed is the absolute ideal spot to be a huge threat in the game. And in terms of HP, you want to reach 30k, which is also very nice because he doubles his HP, which means he's gonna have 60k. But I've seen plenty of builds at 250 speed that have him at 27k, 28k speed, and they work very well. Now, as you can tell, my Notos has incredibly high defense, 1.9k. These get doubled to 3.8k, meaning he can't be killed. But I find this a little bit much, to be honest, especially because I'm on Holy Sacrifice, and as long as the enemy doesn't have, for example, Briarwitch, Iceria, or Singelica or Hecat, I feel like 1.9k defense is a little bit too much, and I probably could go down to 1.3k defense, 1.2k defense, and put all the gear score that I gained from this into speed. So if it comes down to ideal build, 1.3k defense, 28 to 30k HP, 250 to 40 speed, that's a good measure. You only want 50% crit chance, so I'm overcapping slightly. Again, all his stats are doubled, and the only real important part is his God of Battle part, because that way he usually kills at least 2 units, most of the time 3 units, and once it's a 4v1 scenario, you cannot lose, and even if he has 50% crit chance, it's kind of whatever. So 50% crit chance is what you want, and since all the stats are doubled, you want 175 crit damage, but don't sweat about it. If you're at 160 crit damage, that's good enough too, because eventually, at the end of the day, he'll be 320 crit, and that's still superb. And in terms of ER, if you have great pieces that have super high speed on Warfare Set, Immunity Set, what have you, that fit his playstyle, don't just discard it. It might be a good piece. Now, ER is not all that important because he's gonna revive most of the time. You won't play him as is. You would always have 3 other units. Maybe one of those is probably Ruel or Johan, or while Johan cannot push him, she can dispel she can still dispel him. So at the end of the day, it's going to be fine. So you don't necessarily need AR, but it's not a stat waste either. It's good to have, but it's not mandatory. So artifact choices. The main point for him is to survive until he can as 3. I feel like there's actually 2 choices that make the most sense. First of all, is going to be Holy Sacrifice, which revives him, gives him a barrier upon revive. And the second best choice is Proof of Valor, a 30% additional damage reduction, which is very cool. And the last choice could be, and I'll be scrolling down a little bit for this, Noble Oath could be a good contender, honestly, if you want survivability. But the next best would be Broken Will of the Priest. This one increases hit chance by up to 20%, and it further increases his pen damage. Now, this is a tech for all of those who really want him to hit hard. And it could be a good tech against all these Setsuka and No Crescent Bellona combos, because the most, and I'm foreshadowing his weaknesses a little bit here. His biggest weakness is dodge. And Setsuka plus LCB combo is kind of hurting his viability. And it's going to be the meta comp against Notos and praying for Notos to miss. Now, with Broken Will of the Priest, you could forego at least 20% hit chance if it's maxed, obviously, and give him an upper edge, because as we all know, Setsuka has 50% evasion, and unless you have Xeno on your team, you're kind of struggling in terms of hitting anything with that combo. But with Broken Will of the Priest, you have at least a 20% higher chance to hit Bellona, and Setsuka, if you have Xeno on the field, it gets even better, so to say, because both their effectively he has 70% chance to hit, or reduces evasion by 70%. Both work same way, and that allows him to hit more consistently. But most of the time, if you have Notos and Xeno and the enemy as Setsuka and LCD, either Xeno or Notos gets banned. So you will rarely get this combo off, honestly. Nonetheless, these are the 3 brackets for artifact choices you have. There might be some other niche cases where you could use something else, but I feel like POV, Proof of Valor in that case, and Holy Sacrifice are the main 2 artifacts on Notos. Now, when it comes to 2 set pieces, there are many viable choices. I am going for immunity here, and I will try keeping immunity on him, but it's not super mandatory. Let me show you my stats on these items as well. Most of them are pretty decent, I'd say, but there are other potential good pieces. You could go HP set just to further boost his damage because he's HP scaling. But the HP set is kind of it doesn't really do much other than increasing damage, and I feel like he's already killing everything at 28k HP, 350 crit damage. So I feel like HP set is kind of just a win more condition. The same applies to pen set. Pen set is incredibly powerful on him just because it increases his damage even further. But again, this is just a win more condition for him, and it doesn't really add to his already extremely powerful skill set that he has. Another thing of win more is pursuit set. While it only applies to his S1, there is a point to be made. Yeah, the S1 already hits like a truck, but you might as well just hit harder. Again, I don't find pursuit set to give him much value in that case. Yeah, it's a choice you could go for, but I don't feel like then it's pursuit set isn't that a 4-set piece? Am I tripping? No, it's a 2-set piece. Never mind. I'm tripping. But yeah, pursuit set just, I don't know. It's even less of value than pen set or HP set. Now, one meme build you could go for is give him a Unity set for higher dual attack chance. And honestly, I kind of dig it, but I don't have any good Unity set pieces because even if he has 400 speed in his God of Battle state, in my case that is, other units will take their turns, especially once he presses S3. Most of the time, the other units will take the turn, and getting more dual attacks in because his S1 does not trigger from a dual attack or extra attack, right? So if you would be dual attacking with Notos, it's gonna hurt because he already hits hard on his S1 and then the pop damage just is the cherry on top. So I feel like the Unity set could have a use on him. It is still a meme build, I feel like, but there might be a use case for Unity set at least. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like Warfare plus Immunity or Warfare plus HP set or Warfare plus Pen set will be the 3 main sets that he'll be wearing, so to say. Okay, that wraps up the Gurren part. I'll prepare a team for Arena, and I'll be making a quick cut here, so you don't have to see me refreshing lists all over again. So let's make a quick cut and continue with some action. All right, we're back. We're from our Arena games, So first things first, as you can tell, I'm in Legend 5 right now. It's Thursday, all that matters. So I'll be Legend 1 by the end of the week. So as you can tell, Notos is in plenty of arena teams, and I'll show you how to beat these arena teams as well. But first of all, let's take him for a swing ourselves. So we got, usually I would approach this team on the right side with my standard comp, but for the sake of the video and showcasing Notos, I'll put in Notos here. Now, why am I replacing Hassel here? Just because. There is no real merit in putting Notos in the front because he cannot gain CR. So instead, I'll just move him down here so he gets the release imprint from Rana as well. Honestly, I could just put Rana into the front so she actually provides some up areas. Now, if I remember correctly, this guy is a 320 DN player. So his DN is going to go first, ideally, and does nothing. But we'll see. And still, whatever happens, Notos eventually gets a turn and obliterates the entire enemy team. So let's go and see how Notos performs. Because this team, again, has Setsuka, and we can miss. Okay, it's Joha that moves first. She pushes up Setsuka. So it's gonna take a while for us to get rid of all these debuffs from the enemy team, but at the end of the day, I feel like we're still gonna win this. So get pushed back because everybody's sealed. Yada yada. Sarah decides to be a good girl. We hit, perfect. I have a feeling this is starting to be an Isaria showcase more than anything else. Anyways, let's get ourselves some buffs here. Isaria keeps on countering. And what we can see here is Notos is about to take a turn. And what then starts is him removing all debuffs from us, meaning we take back the upper hand in this game, so to say. Alright, we counter. And what's important is the differentiation here between the buffs, right? So let's take a look at the blue borders here. So as you can tell, Abundance has a blue border around it. It's a unique effect. When I press S3 now, every single of these buffs and debuffs, as well as superhumanization will disappear. The only thing that sticks is Offering and Fracture. These will stay, everything else is gone. Alright, here we go. Time for Notos to do his thing. We cannot get sealed anymore. We still can counterattack. However, keep in mind, Isaria does not gain her shield anymore. So Isaria dies here naturally. We still get our healing, which is pretty nice. And now it's just, that's not S1 here, S3 I mean. We still can get countered, as you can tell, and counters are the natural enemy of Notos. So we can just soul burn. I believe a soul burn might even, if we hit, that is, might even kill through the 70% mitigation, just because we have so much HP. Obviously we miss. We can safely activate against Dien here as well, because she cannot gain her passive, which is very nice. Alright. Let's go in. And another thing about Notos that is very similar to Tamarin in this case is that his cooldowns also reduce while he's in his face, right? Oh, that's it. Right, we got rid of Shizuka here, and now we get to most likely kill off Deyolha, because she's the only one that is actually posing a danger because she can revive eventually. Yeah, we dealt 40k damage. That's pretty huge, right? And yeah, this game is now unlosable. And all that there is to do, let's check the cooldowns on the enemy DN. Okay, Shikan is free again. Okay. So as you can tell, it's back to 3 turns cooldown because we took 3 turns and now we have a turn back. So yeah, he cycles fast, and that's why you want Warfested on him. Okay, so we keep stalling the gale, we are sealed again, yada yada yada. The scale slapping us like crazy because of the pushbacks, etc. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter that much. Weekend is free again, so all the cooldowns are basically reset. Yeah, this is taking very long, I know. But that's more because of Setsuka being Setsuka, and we missed a hit. Missed 2 hits out of 3 actually, even though she only provides 30% and etc. So let's get rid of the seal, that makes our life a little bit easier. And yeah, this is a comp that Notos, especially when you play RTA, he can lose into this, right? If the enemy plays it well and has, for example, if this wasn't the end here, but say Lone Christian Bologna, I most likely would have lost that game, just because Lone Christian Bologna can't be hit. She has a cooldown ready again, but we do not care in that case because we cannot be sealed or debuffed here. And that's one of the huge upsides, right? The AI doesn't know that. The AI is kind of dumb in that case. But a real player in RTA would never press the seal button in that case. Yeah, 66k even. Holy. She must have had very, very low defense in that case for us to deal that much damage. But yeah, that was a Notos game. So let's see how we can deal with Notos in Arena. Because I feel like, yeah, sure, I could go for another round against this team of Notos or all the other ones. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be more of the same. It's just going to take a few turns. And Notos is just strong. And I've just played a game where he was the comp that I used was highly disadvantaged. And he still managed to win us the game. So let's check out some teams with Notos in the defense. This team has Briar, Scales, Setsuka, and Notos himself. So I will be just going for the standard stuff here, right? My Lilias's 318 speed should be hopefully good enough, but I'm expecting to be outsped because apparently everybody in Arena is 330 speed. So these are the units. Nothing too fancy. If you've seen my Guild War videos, you know all these builds by now. So let's just dive right in and see how this goes. And the good part about oh, we outsped for once. Cool, 97%. So this Notos is on. Wait, is he? That's an interesting tech. So this Notos is on Bastion of Palusha for the immunity and shield on Setsuka. But yeah, this is pretty much over, so you just cleave Notos here. And that's how you win. So we soulburn, we do all of this stuff, and everybody explodes on the enemy team, and that's gonna be it. That case, yeah, everybody dead. The enemy provided the anti-revive for us in that case. Very nice. And yeah. So here we have a Notos cleave comp, which is rather interesting. I haven't fought this yet. But yeah, we can just go into this. I usually, when I see attacks like these, I'm not gonna even try. I'll be honest, this is just too much of a headache, because you have to deal with Zio taking the first turn to push up the Collie here. She has freeze, Well, you can easily, for the most part, cheese this with having young senior on your team, for example. That way you don't get screwed over. Actually, you still do get screwed over, but you can cheese this with Angelica Flight. Well, she removes the bomb and then the collie deals no damage. But for the most part, what you will be seeing are these comps. I've seen plenty of area comps, especially in Legend. So how I do this, again, is just going for this. Let me just quickly cleave it up. And I'd like to have one of the Harsetti comps with Notos. I'm quite surprised I haven't seen... I believe I accidentally refreshed one and ruined my win streak. That's why I was at 0 a few minutes ago. We also one-shot the Notos here in that case, which is kind of funny. I should have not gone into her. I'm kind of inting, but whatever. And yeah, because the Notos defenses with Harsetti in their comps, they are super hard to deal with. But there are ways, and I'll hopefully find a team that I can use against, or play against, I mean. So let's see if we find a defense comp. Yeah, but there's no Notos. There's no Notos here as well. Let's refresh. There we go. Yeah, this is one of the most annoying ones. Now, I am, running a very similar comp. No, I'm running the exact same comp as he does. Why does it? No, I don't want to go here. So this is virtually the same comp I'm using. As you can tell, this is the go-to comp actually. So we'll be using this comp. Do I have it? I think I don't. No, I don't. So let's quickly set this up and show you guys how this works. So long crescent. We've got Setsuka. We've got Fat Cat. I think I don't have my Fat Cat gear anymore, but we'll find out in a second. And our mate Chloe. Let me quickly check, does my Fat Cat have gear? Yeah, he does. Perfect. Let's just go for level 15 at least. Good enough. I don't really need more. Alright, so my Crescent Bellona is on this build, standard stuff. And the rest doesn't matter. So let's go into this. And with this team, we have 100% evasion on especially low Crescent Bellona, who is the only unit that matters in this case. It's still gonna take quite a while. It's gonna be a very painful part, but it's fairly safe. And luckily for us, this is a not super slow, but also not super fast Harsetti, meaning the Notos took a turn right away. He removed the passive on Arunka for us, which is very cool. So let's get rid of Harsetti right away. I hate this unit. I just don't want to deal with her, so she's the first to die here. Now for us, there is no point in buffs. I should probably not have as treat here. Setsuka dodges. We have so much dodge here that we will counter pretty much every time with Setsuka. And that's why I really, really like Setsuka in this, or the combination of these 3 units, because you will deal so much damage just from the passives alone. Now this goes into either Fat Cat or Bellona. I believe it goes into Bellona. He has 0% chance to hit, which is very cool for us. And yeah, all the upcoming attacks will go into Bellona. Now, mind you, my Bellona is on counter set, but if you've watched my Guild War video yesterday, she never countered. Now, I will use the S3 even though it does nothing, but it gives her 30 fighting spirit just so we can go get her S3 up a little bit faster. So we killed off the Harsetti here to unlock speed, which is more beneficial for us in this case. Our Setsuka almost ready to pop. Very good for us. Notos gonna S3 into Bellona. He will miss, and this won't kill, which is cool for us. Poof. Now, we barely survived, mind you, but yeah, it's good enough. Alright, Setsuka does her stuff. We deal quite a lot of damage here. Let's get rid of Boss Arunka. We heal up a bit. And now it's just Notos versus 4. I don't think he killed there. Yep. Setsuka keeps healing up. We heal up with her. We heal up even more. And yeah, we will be very low HP. It might kill. Not quite sure. I'll find out in a second. It did not kill. And yeah, that's pretty much Notos solved. Now we can debuff again, so let's S3. And yeah, from here on out, Notos has 0 chance to win anymore. So this comp is incredibly safe, and I haven't seen it lose yet. I'll be honest. So that's S3. And Bellona deals so much damage the higher the injury on the target. Now he's on Solly Sack, standard attack. Oh, wow. First counter of my Bellona ever since her buff. Crazy. And I've used it quite a lot. But yeah, that was very nice and clean. Notos not being any issue whatsoever. Alright. Yeah, that's about it. Now let's move to Guild War, the next type of content where Notos shines. I have my Notos in my defense. Let me show you how he performed. So I am running Notos, Harsetti, and Setsuka. And as you can tell, yeah, he loses games, obviously. But there are cases where he wins. And the losses that you see here on round 2, they aren't as clear-cut as they seem to be. The most solid comp against him is actually this. So Zio, Zeno, and Bystander Wyom. The way you go into this is you just S3 onto Notos here. Yeah, you S3 onto Notos. Then Harsh City moves. Most likely, because this is Guild War, and Guild War always has the worst kind of RNG possible, the Setsuka will go next. She blinds you on both Zeno and Bystander Wyong, but we don't care in that case. Zeno does whatever, and then Bystander Wyong, you should have both of these on book. So Bystander Wyong is Soban, S3s into Notos, and he's dead. And that's how you win this, because at this point, or from this point onwards, Setsuka cannot win this under any circumstances. Neither can Harsetti. You won the game, essentially, in that case. This also works, but it can end you. And I believe, yeah, this guy virtually lost to Setsuka. So this isn't the safest comp. And the way this loses is you just miss. As soon as the Architect Leica misses, or the Bystander, the Summer Argent Hua misses on, say, for example, Setsuka, or if my Knowledge Seed procs Evasion on Setsuka, you are kind of screwed. And it works for the most part, as you can see. So these people, they have great success. She also tried this, but lost to Harsetti eventually. And this is another way to deal with this comp. Same for this. I find the Wanda tech kind of interesting, honestly. I don't think it is necessarily a great strategy, but it can help. So, how does my comp look? Or what's the... my God, I'm too dumb today. I should have clicked on team formation. So, my Harsetti, I have 2 Harsetti. As you can tell, 2 are built. One is like this, standard injury build, but the one that I'm using here is on highest defense to trap all of these Aram plus Hwyong players. And sadly, I do not have a maxed out knowledge sheet, so it's only a 90% chance to gain a random buff. And all I'm caring it for is that she dies from the S2 from Argent Waves Hwion, such that she provides the buffs. Now, something else that I could do, and that is super cancerous, I feel like, is I could go for Eleanor instead of Setsuka, just so we can deny damage from the zero comps. Now, the zero comps still can win. It's gonna be a little bit harder, especially because my Illunav is on Adamant Shield. So a bystander Hwion would deal 16% less damage to my Notos, which could be good because mine is kind of tanky. But yeah, that's one of the other comps that I'm using. As you can tell, this is my standard Notos. He's just not gonna get a different type of build because I cannot build him differently. I, for some reason, don't have slow warfare set items. So I can build him for 35k HP or so. But yeah, this is the Guild War defense that I have. Again, I'd love to show you some RTA games, but yeah, placement in progress. I have played 0 games in RTA so far, so I can't show you games in RTA, sadly. But now let's talk about, but I can tell you that he performs extremely well in RTA as well. All right. Now let's get to the final part of the video, which is talking about his strengths and weaknesses. So as you've seen, when he gets his turn, he just does things. He kills, he provides so much utility, quote unquote, the utility being nobody can get debuffed, nobody can get buffed. This is a double-edged sword, obviously. You yourself can't be buffed, but you also cannot be debuffed, which is the good part. And the same applies to the enemy. So everybody is at the mercy of Notos and who gets targeted. You will never be able to kill Notos while he is in his God of Battle stage, just because he has so much defense and HP. Maybe you can. I just haven't seen it ever yet. And I don't think you will ever realistically be able to kill him in his God of Battle state. So the main comps you will be seeing him in is, I can already feel that he's going to be first pick material. That's the first thing. And whenever somebody goes first pick Notos, you won't necessarily know whether this guy you're about to face is trying to cleave you because he's an excellent cleave anchor, or whether he's going for a turn 2 or aggro comp, because Notos is that flexible. He fits into every playstyle there is, and it makes it hard to tell which comp the enemy is going for. You can somehow try to navigate this through pre-bans, but if you're facing somebody like me who pre-bans Harsetti plus Zio, you won't know whether I will be playing debuff heavy, whether I'll be playing aggro, whether I'll be playing cleave, whether I'll be playing turn 2. So I know those first pick is very neutral. And for the most part, unless the enemy makes it super, super obvious what he's trying to do, you won't be able to tell whether he's cleaving you or not. And that's kind of iffy. And I particularly don't like it that way, because I do want to read my enemies, and it's going to be a little bit harder, I feel like, to read enemies these days or in the upcoming season, but we'll find out, I guess. And from what I've seen in streams from Elfmage, from Higa, once you press S3, most of the time the enemy just concedes, because there's no point in keeping on trying to win against Notos once he S3s. He's that strong. But he has weaknesses, and we've seen those weaknesses in the video. So the most obvious weakness is debuffers. If you don't play him with somebody like Schoolnurse Yolha, who cleanses passively, unless she's sealed, obviously, Notos is gonna have a bad time. The most obvious counters are, for example, Moonlight Lure, most of this counter is rid of the Mere Tenebria to debuff him. The same applies to racist Sigrid, though she cannot push him back, but she can fear him for all eternity, and many more, right? Another weakness of his is, while he is very strong and cleave and aggro, and her too, he's also super weak to exactly these two firstly mentioned types, meaning turbo aggro and cleave. Because once he dies, and most of the time cleave players play Briarwitch Iceria, meaning your holy sacrifice artifact is useless, and that's why some people, and probably even more throughout the season, will switch to PoV just to make him tanky enough to survive, and then reverse sweep the cleaver. But yeah, cleave is a huge issue for him, just as aggro is, because at the end of the day, if you cannot pick boss or Rinker to protect him, he's going to die first. Another very obvious counterplay against Notos is cooldown increase. Now, there are certain units that have fallen out of meta. Blue Lua being one, she has a cooldown increase on her as one. Now, we do have plenty of units these days that can reduce cooldowns. Lyra, LRK has been meta for the last season against free comes, for example. LRK reduces cooldowns by 1. Somebody everybody seems to always forget who also reduces cooldown is SSV. Now, SSV is pretty bad, let's be real, but she's one of those units that can reduce cooldowns. So these options, these 3 options are very welcome. They help Notos to still press his button. But there's one unit in particular that I'm hoping for to get a buff in the next buff patch, because she's the best counter, and that is Faithless Lydica. Faithless Lydica, if you have forgotten, and I wouldn't put it on you if you forgot, because this unit hasn't been meta for all eternity. First of all, her S2 strips a buff, 2 if she crits. And thirdly, her S3 fully resets cooldowns. That is incredibly powerful against Notos. Now, the issue with Faithless Lydica is, if there is Boss Arunca on the field, she just won't work against Notos because Boss Arunca can be passed. But if there's no Boss Arunca protecting the Notos, Faithless Lydica is incredibly strong. Now, the issue with Faithless Lydica is she has a really, really, really bad base speed, and this unit needs an EE badly. The problem that I see with Faithless Lydica, if she were to get an EE that is 10 speed, she might be our next Armored disaster, and I hated Armored meta. And the issue is, if Lydica gets an EE, 10 speed EE of all sorts, I'm gonna hate the meta because Lydica is incredibly toxic. But she also is the best counter to Notos, just because she fully increases his cooldown. Now, another good tech against Notos, and we've all hated this unit when she was meta back in the day, is Nagwal. She also increases cooldown, albeit only being 1, but she cycles really fast, so she is a really good counter, so to say, against Notos as well. There are more counters to Notos other than increasing cooldowns. Now, one of the more natural counters to Notos is Ruiza, but I'm hesitant of actually calling her a viable counter. Now, Ruiza is really cool because she puts on Laceration, which increases or deals so much damage based on, or so much injury to the enemy. But the issue is Laceration, while it's cool and it has ignore ER, the important part is deflection. And if you cannot spread reliably onto the enemy, say the enemy has a cleanser, Maid Chloe, for example, you put this on Notos, for example, because you or the maid can just soul burn out of it, and then what? So there are glaring issues with Ruiza, and she's a unit that I personally don't like using, but in theory, Ruiza is the more natural counter to Notos, but I don't think we'll ever see Ruiza really playing against Notos because she's just not reliable enough. Now, Iseria could be, Monarch Iseria I'm talking about here, could be a good counter. The problem is she's too slow and she just dies. But technically speaking, she too, in theory, would be a great counter to Notos, just because she dishes out that much injury, and with 15k HP, say the Notos has 30k HP, you injure him down to 15k, he only gets back to 30k with his God of Battle. That all sounds great on paper, but the reality is it's just not gonna work. So at the end of the day, we are left with cleaving him, debuffing him, and that's it. Because the cooldown increase units, they haven't been meta for a while. And for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 5 to 6 weeks, I don't see them coming back. Maybe if you have extremely good gear, the Arun young girl, rank 1 in RTA last season, she probably has enough gear to make Flitica work. But most of us mere mortals that aren't 42 out of 5 on 25 speed gears, we can't make it work. So we are left with either pre-banning, post-banning, or cleaving, or hyper-aggroing down Notos. So yeah, the question that everybody asks is, should you pull for Notos? And the answer is yes. Pull this unit. Notos is incredibly strong, and I just don't see him going out of the meta for the foreseeable future, just because of his passive and the S3. Is he a scales level disaster? Not quite. But he's the next toxic thing after Lady of the Scales. I feel like Dian or Notos makes Dian look balanced. Notos makes Scales look balanced to some degree, because even though I still believe Scales is more oppressive than Notos, Notos is incredibly strong in his own right. So yeah, you should pull him. If you are close to pity, just pity that guy. He's that much worth it. Unless you play for fun and coolness of the unit. I mean, I don't like male units. I'm a Guna waifu player, so to say. So I don't like male units in my waifu Guna game, but so be it. I pull for meta. I do want to reach legend after all. And if you care about PvP, you have to pull Notos. There's no way around to sugarcoat this. Get this unit, and if you don't, you'll be sorely missing it and hating your life in RTA or Arena. Unless you play NPC Arena, then you don't, yeah. But he's also gonna be a huge pain in Guild War. He's also a great Guild War unit, as you might have seen in my previous Guild War video, in attack. So yeah, he's just that good. So yeah, that wraps up today's review video of Notos. Get this unit. He's really strong. He's really good. Absolutely meta. Thank you all for watching. We'll see each other for the next Guild War video, or for the next Guild War video. So enjoy. See ya. Bye.